This week we're going to be making masks inspired by nature and making headdresses to go with them. This week we're going to be using materials taken from nature to make headpiece and masks. So when I first started mask making, I learned to carve masks in Indonesia, and I was always super impressed by their beautiful ornamental designs around the mask. So here's a photograph of the natural ritual taking place. You can see the mask here, and again you can see this like ginormous headpiece that they make. This is a barong character, and again you've got the big ornate headpiece, and I was always really impressed by them. So that's the sort of thing that since I've been really encouraged and using them as inspiration really to make my own sorts of crowns for my work. But it also got me thinking about what traditions do we have closer to us. So these are Ukrainian marriage crowns, and they are made completely out of natural and found materials. Even the way they're put together, they're held together with grass, and they're made out of little pins using not bamboo, but like different sticks. And this is just an example of how extravagant you can make these headpieces with very few materials, and actually just by looking around, being inspired by what's around you. Here's an archival photo of these crowns. And in Venetian carnival, they often have large headpieces as well. And here's a crown that I made out of a structure with a leather mask to go on it. And as you can see, it's very nature inspired. So for today's workshop, you're going to need these materials, but we're going to do it there's two different stages to it. So there's going to be constructing the headpiece, which is what we're going to do today. And then you can decorate the masks in your own time in the way that you want to. But I'm just going to show you to make the actual construction first. So you'll need some cardboard, scissors, pencils, string, some sticks, some sort of glue or tape or a stapler, and then any natural materials that you find to decorate it with. So to begin with, you can create the various elements and stick them together. So you can make your eyes plus your crown plus whatever's coming out. So to begin with, we start with our basic mask shape. So what I've done here is I've just drawn two eyes and then a space for the nose. And that's going to be our base for whenever you decorate your headpiece. And afterwards, this can just stick on to your crown. So a really simple form of headpiece is just to make a band around the back and a support around here. Now I'm using cardboard, so long strips of cardboard, but often in millinery, which is hat making or headpiece making, metal wire is used. But because that's not readily available at the moment, we're just going to make a headpiece out of cardboard, and that's really simple. First you make your round bit to go around your head, and then you do the same but over the other way of your head. So this isn't quite long enough, so I'm going to stick some bits of card together, giving it a nice little bend so that it's going to bend nicely around my head. So my head is about that thick. So I'm just going to tape that in place, like so. Then the next thing is to create a bit of card which will act as a support. So you want it going this way over your head. So you've got your headpiece, and then you want to put this like that. And often these can be made out of wire. at the moment, just kind of throwing it all together. You can secure these in place a little bit more by a string if you wanted to, almost like you just sew, if you put holes either side and you sew them into place. But for this, we're just going to quickly get it up just to show you. I'm just measuring, so it comes to about there. So all this I can just chop off. Chop it off. Down. And there we have our very basic support for our headpiece. And afterwards, we're just going to stick our crown onto that in whatever way we've got at home, whether it's sewing it on with string. It's going to go this way actually. Whether it's sewing it on with string, or glue, or hot glue, or whatever you've got available to you. So once this bit's started, now and we've got our mask, we now add some sort of crown element here. So I'm going to draw out my crown shape onto a bit of card. So I've got an extra bit of card here. And because I want my crown to kind of fan out, I'm just going to do a general shape which fans. So I'm going to go out, sweep it around into a nice rainbow, and out on that side. I'm going to bend it in half as I cut it down there, just so that those sides become symmetrical. So then you can just cut this out nice and easily. This is using a nice thin bit of card, so I can cut it. But what I found for these crowns is that actually a nice thick bit of card works as well, because it helps keep it there for a little bit longer. But just for this demonstration, I'm using thin card so that it's slightly quicker and easier to show you with. So at a later point, we're just going to stick those elements together. So now you've got your crown almost ready. Now, the reason why I use cardboard is so that it's a nice support, but I have said that you can use wire. But to get around not using wire, what we're going to do instead is we're going to use some nice straight sticks, which I've gone and collected. And the shape that we want to make is a type of fan shape, because my crown is fanning out. So you can see here that I've got this nice fan. So what we're going to do is we're going to put sticks in a nice fan shape to be able to support whatever else I decide to put within the crown. I've chosen to get fairly straight sticks because this helps create a nice fan. So I'm putting them down and I've decided what sort of shape I want. And you don't even have to do a fan. At this point you could do any sort of shape, and actually the more irregular, the kind of more interesting, because you get some really great things. So decide the position that you want your sticks to be in. I've chosen this lovely fan. Now I'm just going to draw roughly where I want those sticks. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to be able to stick my sticks down in a nice and secure way. So glue at this point might not be that useful, because they might just pull off, especially if you're putting a bit of weight on it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to almost like sew them into the cardboard. And how to do that, I'm just going to put a hole either side, and then I'm going to attach it with string across. And I'm going to do it twice, once at the top, once at the bottom, and I'm going to do it on all of them. So now I can take away my sticks, and everywhere I've put a dot, so either side of each stick, everywhere I've put a dot, I can then pierce a hole and thread some string in to hold it in place. So let me just show you one as an example. So here's my stick, and I'm going to pierce some holes through this cardboard, and I'm just using a sharp pencil. Just being careful that you don't stab yourself on the other side. So I've got my holes. I'm going to take some string. I'm just going to thread through this string. It looks like that, and there's a little loop here. The same on this bit. If you want to make it a little bit neater, you could perhaps turn your crown the other way around so you don't have all these guidelines or markings. I'm going to put through my stick. And then on the other side, I'm just going to tie them all in place. So now they're nice and secure. So if I do that to each of those lines, I'll end up with something that looks a little bit like this. It's a little bit messier on the back, but you can see I've just tied in each one. I get a nice, beautiful fan, and already you can see this is quite a nice structure. Now, you could think that because we're using cardboard, why don't we just make the whole thing out of cardboard? And wouldn't that be much quicker and easier? But depending on what sort of design you want in this part of the crown, you're going to want something which isn't necessarily so visible like cardboard. So if you're going to completely cover it here, then yes, it doesn't matter what you make. But if you wanted to make something intricate that kind of creeped up these little bits, or if you wanted to use some grass or something which you want some empty space, it's good to get into the habit of just making a structure rather than making a solid piece of work. And that might make more sense if you once you start to make whatever you're making. Now the next thing is, because you still need some more structure here so that things don't fall through and you've got something to stick it on, it's a good idea now to start creating a secondary structure. So another pattern or another set of lines that you can hold things off. And this allows you to be able to stick things on top of that. So I'm going to tie my structure. My structure is going to maybe have 2 lines in it. So I'm going to secure it here and here, and here and here. And another thing about the cardboard, which I like, is that, you know, you don't even have to use any of the cardboard. You could just tie the whole structure using string. And actually I quite like the way it gives the piece a little bit of rigidity, whereas if I was just using sticks to begin with, it'd be hard to become really fiddly. They would all slide about. So I've secured that there. Just do another one. I'll do this one a little bit quicker. Maybe you like this bit extra hanging out, maybe you don't. Maybe you want to like cut it or snap it off. It's up to you. I'll do this one like that. And what I like about this brown twine as well is it kind of blends in with the rest of the materials I've got. It doesn't stand out. So there we've got our first structure. And when I was looking for materials, I was kind of looking for different things. So this is a bit of old willow that I found. And I tried to collect things that only had fallen from the floor because I'm next to a park, so I don't want to take away all of the things like the flowers just because we'll cut down too many branches because it's a public park. So I just wanted to respect that that the nature wasn't just for me, even though I'd like it to be. And there we have it. We've got a really simple, nice structure. And now we can start to add whatever we want. We can start to add whatever we want within this structure. Again, we want these gaps in case you wanted anything like intricate to be winding around it and flowing upwards. And what's great about these sticks as well is when I was experimenting, you can, this is a flat model, but actually you could start in using the same way, build it out, so you can make it a very 3D. So it's up to you to experiment and how 3D you can make it. I just went and got some long grass because I thought this was a really nice thing. I think grass is quite common. You just have to be careful that you don't cut yourself. And I just wanted to show you one technique of winding it in. So all I'm doing is I'm weaving it in and out and then securing it in place. So I'll start at the end and I want to go over one of the sticks and under the other. And you've got a nice weave. So I'll just do a few to demonstrate. So again, over and under, over and under. Ooh. And what I've added down below is this extra little loop here, which is perfect for trapping these green bits underneath, and then afterwards I can just tighten it up and hold it all in place here. So what I've done is I've put another bit of string going from this hole into this hole, which will help keep everything pulled in and tied down once I've completed whatever I want to put inside. So just keep going and adding whatever you want to add to that pattern to create your crown. I haven't quite secured this one in place yet though, but you can see how it starts to build up. If I wanted to, I could go in and keep adding and adding and adding to that to really grow it up. So then once you're at this stage or further, you can then go back to your headpiece. Which way round was it? And you can attach it in whatever way you feel is most appropriate, whether that's using the same stringing technique that we've just done. I can tape it, or I can glue it, or I can use some string. Let me actually, I'm going to string it as we've strung everything else. Why don't we string this one? So I want to attach that to that. I'm going to thread my string through. This one's caught slightly, so I'm just going to push it through using a pencil. I don't know if you can see that. Again, I'm just attaching it by tying it off. I think, yeah. So just threaded it through. I'm going to tie it off. Sorry, you can't see, it's a bit fiddly. I will show you once I manage to get a knot in it. So I've just tied it through and stuck it down. I've only done one side, but I think on the other side, I'm just going to use a bit of tape for now so that you get the idea of what is happening. So on this side, I'm just using a bit of tape just to speed things up. So I've stuck the crown to the headpiece. Again, using the same technique that we use to stick the sticks down with, you could just sew it onto the headpiece. And there we have our crown attached to the head support. So sometimes the mask is often not enough to be able to disguise the rest of your person. So when you're going into character, it's not necessarily so believable because you have your face mask here, but you still have, you know, so for me it'll be, I still have Emma's hair and I still have Emma's jumper. So an extension to the mask can really change a level of whatever you're doing, whether it's for a costume or for a performance, because once you start completely disguising the rest of the body, you end up really being able to change the character. For now, we've got this headpiece, which really just easily sits on the head, and it's quite a really useful, very quick way of making a crown. In terms of the mask to go onto the crown, I've made one earlier, and this crown is using the exact same techniques that I've just done, and I wanted to show you it just to show you the different levels of what we've the different levels that the really simple design that we've just made can do. So this is just a mask. So this is literally just this shape here, and then I've glued, using a Pritt stick, blades of grass on it in a fan shape. And I've then added the fan, but instead of weaving sticks together, I've just weaved the leaves directly onto it. So it's exactly the same, it's just a crown shape, but instead of sticks being weaved in, I've weaved directly onto it some leaves, and that creates this overall mask. So that's on a small size. And then we can go slightly bigger and attach those two things together. So you'd have a face mask and a face crown. And then there's nothing to stop you at that size either. So I've gone away and I've decided this isn't big enough. And I've decided, using the exact same technique, to make a crown which is this big. And I don't know if you'll be able to see how big it is. So using exactly the same methods, you really can make a crown that fits you and that stays on your head as big as you want. And so if you look at, I can show you as well the back and show you that it is just exactly what we've done already. So I've got my headpiece, which I can sellotape together to keep it secure. I've got my arch, and then here I've got my cardboard crown. I've got one line of support and a second line of support, which you can just about make out there. And then I've weaved in the exact same way to create a massive, massive crown. And that you get a similar feel as that Venetian crown I showed you at the beginning, and are similar to the Ukrainian crowns. I've decided to use those materials. And a little rule that I gave myself, I just gave myself little rules whilst I was walking. So to make that one, I said everything has to have been fallen from the ground so that I'm not picking fresh things. But with those flower crowns, as you can see, if you live somewhere close by with lots of flowers, then you can start adding flowers too. Here's one that I made out of flowers. These are fake flowers. So these are fake flowers, they're not real ones. But again, you can see that the very simple shape and structure that I've shown you creates this lovely crown. So that's actually it for now. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I would really love to see some of your designs, especially because at the moment, you know, we're in full bloom. There's so much nature outside. I would love to be able to see what you make.